Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going in Raw podcast. Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going in Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick-butt show called Stephen Larson's Going in Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night. Bye-bye.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We're going to talk about tonight's AEW Dynamite and the implications for Full Gear, because we've got the final set for the Eliminator Tournament with the news, of course, that Jon Moxley has entered rehab. We're going to get to all that in a moment here. But first, we've got a little bit of news, maybe some behind-the-scenes details on the whole Vince McMahon, Bray Wyatt relationship, how that fizzled out, how it led to Bray Wyatt being released from the company. Larson, what's going on?
This comes to us from Fightful Select. Go subscribe to Fightful Select. You get wrestling news right in your email. They're great. So Fightful Select has a report with some, as Steve mentioned, additional backstage details, specifically about creative frustration on the part of Wyndham Rotunda, of course, formerly known as Bray Wyatt, during his time at WWE. Fightful Select were told that neither Bray or Randy Orton were happy with the outcome or the creative of the WrestleMania 37 bout, which was the finish was changed a couple days before the show. Additionally, Fightful states that creative were told that Wyatt was frustrated with the Burnt Fiend ring gear, with Bray apparently thinking it was, quote, too heavy, was going to look bad, and be difficult to move inside it. Fightful also notes that, quote, there were numerous people backstage who said that Wyatt was outspoken when he thought creative was bad, and by the end, some felt Vince McMahon just didn't like him due to that.
Yeah. To me, that doesn't say a guy is difficult. It means the guy has a clear vision for what he wants and is obviously disappointed when that isn't seen through. Everything here about what Bray and Orton didn't like to finish that match, guess what? Neither did we.
It was awful. Didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. It was just abstract bullshit that was just designed to get them out of it. Yes.
Another thing. Also, I don't think Wyndham was alone in thinking the Burnt Fiend ring gear didn't look good. It did look heavy. It did look cumbersome. It looked like it was difficult to move in.
I thought that ring gear was all that is true. I thought it was probably a good idea. You know, it's like he got burned to death by Randy Orton. It makes sense that, like a horror movie villain, which is what the Fiend was, he would come back as a crispy version of himself. Unfortunately, as with many horror movies, the less you see generally, the better. Uh-huh. And when you're in a ring that's lit, it's kind of similar to like what Tien Shaw being in the ring these days in NXT 2.0, where it's just the most brightly lit show.
Yeah.
It takes the mystique away. Horror movie villains, if you're going to go that route, if you see them in full light, it's just sort of goofy. And that's what this was. His head looked big. Aesthetically, he didn't look intimidating at all.
No.
When you look at the Fiend, he was. And then on top of that, you add, clearly, and I hadn't even thought about this. It was not easy to move around in that thing. It looked heavy, yeah.
Yeah, it did. Because it covered like from like head to toe, he was covered, and some of the parts of it looked like thick because they were trying to emulate the look of like, burnt melted fabric. It did look great. I read this and it's hard not to think of Jon Moxley's interview with on Talk is Jericho after he left WB, where he talked about walking into Vince's office, having issues with his creative, and Vince. What did Vince say to him? No, this is who you are.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're not there. We don't know for sure. This is just interpretation of speculation. Another situation where Vince has an idea of what this character should be, and that's running against the idea what the performer has for that particular character.
Yeah.
Does that make Bray
Yeah.
difficult? Not necessarily. It
Now,
just
it
means he has a particular vision for his character that he's portraying, and he's vocal about trying to protect the creative integrity of that character.
The funny thing is, you think that this wouldn't be. He'd been around for a while, and it's not like they ever really his match with Cena, not the Firefly Funhouse, but his Mania match with Cena, where it was obvious that the story they were getting at was Cena's got to compromise his own morals in order to win that match. Well, that didn't happen. It was just Cena gets to win the way he wants to win, and it made Bray look so weak. He didn't get to decide it. And by the way, they're kind of doing the same thing in AEW with Malakai Black right now, because the whole point of that was, hey, I've changed Cody. Cody ain't changed a bit. And so you have, and that's why I really liked when he got that clean slate with the Fiend. The first couple things, it was like, wow, he actually is changing characters. He changed Finn, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
That was cool. And then Goldberg comes around and it all goes to shit. So you would have thought that they would have tried something similar with Orton. It was like a 6-month feud. And then they just never had that, the proper finish for it. It was like, okay, well, that just did nothing. And then they didn't even really, I guess in their own way, they ran with the Alexa Bliss thing with the Lily character. So like it did sort of set her up to do some stuff. But even that's been very sort of, not great.
Not great.
So anyways, Wrestling Inc. also spoke to GCW owner Brett Lauderdale and asked if he had spoken to Wyndham, to which Lauderdale responded, I have never talked to Bray Wyatt. My understanding is that I don't know that our world is very appealing to Bray Wyatt. There's no secret message there. I think that he's not interested in making the rounds on the indies. That's my understanding. I don't mean any negative implication that he said anything because I've never spoken to him. From people I know that he knows and whatever, it just doesn't seem like it's something that's on his to-do list anytime soon. So some wrestlers, when they get released, we saw this a couple of years ago. I think Cody started the bucket list thing, where there's a list of people, things that he wants to do, and people have copied that. It's become less so now, but people have copied that idea. Definitely. Bray never really did that when he got released. There's been a couple been tweets here and there. We saw him on the Warner Brothers lot in a picture. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what's next for Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah, and I if his idea is to tell long form stories the way he wants to, I don't think the indies are really the right platform for that. I don't even know if pro wrestling is really the right platform for that. But to go from regional promotion to regional promotion and try to tell a sort of coherent story is going to be incredibly difficult. I just think the stories this is speculation again. I think the stories he wants to tell need to be told on television.
Yeah. Or YouTube.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that right now, the closest you're going to get to what he would want to do in wrestling would be Malakai Black. And, the bottom line is you come into a company and they have obviously given him the Cody thing and he has run with it as best he can. But, you're not going to come into a company and sort of have your way with everybody and do exactly what you want to do. Even in Malakai Black's case, there's clearly going to be some compromises and he's feeling that out. And with Wyndham Rotunda, it's clear. It seems you would think, given what we're reading here, what we've seen of the guy, he has a vision, and that vision can best be described as the vision of an auteur. Mm-hmm. And an auteur, the very definition is not a lot of collaboration there. It's one man's vision, and then the people's that you surround yourself with service that vision. And like you said, there are other forms of media that would probably benefit him more beyond trying to mesh the world of whatever it is, whatever genre it is he's interested in. Horror clearly informed The Fiend and pro wrestling. Can they mesh? Maybe, but he'd probably have to start his own damn promotion to get that vision out. At that point, it's like, why are you even doing it? Why are you fumbling with pro wrestling when he has maybe other stories he wants to tell?
Exactly. And then you're talking, if you're going to start your own promotion, then you have to raise money. And, historically speaking, the pro wrestling business is not a huge money business, especially when you're starting out. It's my understanding in terms of overhead costs and so on and so forth. So at that point, find some producers who are interested in developing your pilot. Do that instead,
Yeah, there you go.
This seems to make more sense. Anyways, you want to talk Dynamite? How about that?
Yeah, let's talk Dynamite. There's a lot going. I mean, I feel like we've got 3 more episodes of TV. We've got Rampage, Dynamite, and a Rampage before Full Gear.
Correct.
And I feel like they really tried to do a lot in this episode. A little bit too. There's more talking in this episode of Dynamite than generally there is. There is plenty to enjoy, but man, this, to me, I was watching, I was like, God, this feels really long. I was shocked when I looked at the clock at that at the Anna Jay match and was like, this is the top of the hour.
I know. Right now. I mean, what do I say? You jam a bunch of segments and they're predominantly talking. It slows down the pace of the show, and that's that first hour. They just jammed it full of segments. And you'd think, it moves fast. It'll speed the show along. No, for some reason, it makes the show feel slow.
Yeah.
Raw. This episode Raw all the time. Where like the slowest paced episodes of Raw, in terms of viewing experience, are the ones they try to jam as much stuff in as possible.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is. Part of it, I think it is for us specifically, is we have to take notes for stuff, and we take more notes for talkie bits than we do for matches generally. And so it's more work for us to transcribe talking than it is to watch a match and just kind of write down the story beats in the finish.
Well, I don't think, I think that informs the pace of a show. It's like when we judge that by the work we put into the actual episode, transcribing it basically, we get a better sense, or we get a sense of like, man, they're putting a lot, they're doing a lot of talky stuff in this episode. Usually with Dynamite, I'm used to like the first 30 minutes, it's a breeze, because all I got to say is, man, this is a really cool match. And if there's any story beats, we hit those story beats. This first match this match was like maybe 10, 15 minutes long. I think it concluded around the 15-minute mark, so you're not talking about entrances here. And it's like usually your typical Dynamite, your first segment's at 30 minutes. It's like the Young Bucks versus some other team, and they're just doing crazy shit.
20-minute match, post-match angle. You go to an interview.
Brawl.
Brawl, and then you have a commercial break after like a post-match interview. It's generally how it goes,
Yeah.
But this first hour there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 segments before the Jamie Hayter Anna Jay match in the first hour.
Wow.
There's some Dynamites they have 10 to 12 segments for the entire episode. You know? But then the second hour was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 7 in the second hour. Second hour is more enjoyable in my estimation. I think partially for that reason. Also that, maybe the 2 of the best matches on the show, at least 2 of the best matches were the last 2.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, when you look at that breakdown there, you see that first hour. That first hour I had like 2 pages of notes. The last hour I had 1 page of notes. Well, let's talk about that. Kind of bitching right now about the pace of the show, but it did have some cool stuff going on. Orange Cassidy versus Miro.
Yeah.
Of course, earlier in the day, we talked about this on our show, on our NXT recap show earlier in the day. It was announced that Jon Moxley has gone into rehab for alcohol issues. And so he was replaced in the Eliminator tournament with Miro, who apparently had to be rushed to the scene because he wasn't scheduled to be on the show tonight. So they had him cut a video promo running down God again and saying that he's going to get that title and then he'll forgive God. And then, sure enough, like he's getting there. He tapped out Orange Cassidy with a game over, which leads to Miro versus Bryan Danielson in the finals there.
Correct.
At Full Gear. How do you see this going? Do you think this changed? I had suspected that Mox was going to come out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you see Miro just being plunked down in his space and beating Bryan Danielson?
Because if Danielson was going to win, why not just give Orange Cassidy a bye and have Cassidy versus Bryan Danielson in the finals?
Yeah.
And, why bring Miro into this just to lose to Danielson? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're just going to put Miro in whatever position they had for Mox, have Miro win, beat Danielson, be the first challenger for Page, and then Page can beat Miro. Miro can continue on with his story against God. Page can continue on his title reign. I think that's how it's going to go. Because like Orange Cassidy versus Bryan Danielson would have been fun. It would have been different.
Yeah, sure.
And so if Danielson was going to win the whole thing, give us that match.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if they're so intent on having Cassidy take the L in the semifinal, it just makes me feel that whoever that was going to be that beat Orange Cassidy is going to win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point. I think it'll be huge for Miro if he gets that win, a legit win over, especially tapping him out to a game over. That's going to be a killer match, by the way. That's going to be a really good match. Hopefully they give us a promo bit next week in the ring with these two, because that's going to be really good too.
I hope so.
That was a fun match. All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word in from our sponsor, Chime. So, Larson.
Yeah?
I'm sure you know the feeling, man, especially you. It's the end of the month, and maybe you're a little tight on money, so you got to deal with the stress of your account balance running low. And then add on top of that the prospect of getting hit with that $33 overdraft fee if you happen to spend even just a little bit too much. It's really enough to make you pull the hair out of your head.
Yeah, man. Overdraft fees have gotten out of control. In 2019, traditional banks took in $11 billion in overdraft fees, but we're here to tell you that Chime does things differently.
That's right. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card that has saved its members more than $10 billion in overdraft fees thanks to Spot Me fee-free overdraft. Eligible members can overdraft up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals with absolutely no fees.
Now you deserve to have financial peace of mind. Join the millions of Americans already loving Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and does not affect your credit score. Get started today at chime.com/raw. That's chime.com/raw.
Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements apply. Overdraft only applies to debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. Limits start at $20 and may be increased up to $200 by Chime. Chime member overdraft fee savings based on eligible members' use of Spot Me versus $33 average overdraft fee. Overdraft fee data based on bank rate, checking account survey, and CRL June 2020 overdraft fees report.
Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Paint Your Life, Steve.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am about this portrait, you, me, Sid, that I got from Paint Your Life. It really brings back some great memories for a time with the office with you and me and Sid, and I think it really ties this whole room together.
I mean, I don't actually remember Sid ever being in our office, but I will say this. It does look great. But I got to ask you something, man.
What?
Are you sure? Are you completely sure? Because this is kind of bizarre to me. That your wife really wants a painting, not just of Sid, but of me in your bedroom?
You know, that is a fair question. And while my wife may not admire Sid or you like I do, she does admire a fine piece of art. And that's what this is, Steve. And it's great.
It really is.
How
really
easy.
Is.
Paint Your Life makes getting custom-made, hand-painted art on your walls. All you got to do is send them a picture, and one of their world-class artists will hand-paint you a portrait at an affordable price. I mean, I got this incredible piece of art made to remember some of the best times in Going in Raw history. You, me, Sid. And I got it in about 3 weeks. So
wow.
If you're looking for the perfect holiday gift for someone you love or for yourself, then you got to check out Paint Your Life.
At paintyourlife.com, there's no risk. If you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded, guaranteed. And right now is a limited time offer. Get 20% off your painting. That's right, 20% off and free shipping. To get this special offer, text the word RAW to 64,000. That's RAW to 64,000. Text RAW to 64,000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Cody versus Andrade. was probably my match
was
of
a
the
good
night,
match.
though.
It was a good bout.
It was a really, I mean, Andrade, it's, you sort of forget sometimes with how they present him versus his just sheer pure talent in the ring. I mean, the guy is almost unparalleled with what he can do in the ring. He's great. This was just really fun storytelling here between these two, and Cody took the loss thanks to FTR realigning themselves with Andrade as well.
Yeah. Now you have to think too. Yeah, I know that Andrade in the past has worked out a business deal with MJF, which allowed FTR to win those AAA tag titles. But we don't really see. We saw a bit tonight, but MJF's kind of off doing his own thing. Yeah, he still has Wardlow and kind of spears with him. FTR obviously is kind of doing their own thing. They seem like they have more dealings with Andrade of late than MJF. You know, Tully seems firmly in the camp of FTR. Could they potentially do a story down the road where Andrade ends up recruiting FTR to join him, and thus having FTR leave Pinnacle?
You know, if it's the sort of situation where if they're not exclusive, if they're like, hey, you know, we are mercenaries, whoever the highest bidder is in that moment. But yeah, because it does seem like, you know, obviously right now it's like MJF, Wardlow, and his accountability buddy, Sean Spears, they're doing a thing. And then FTR, they're like, hey, we're money guys with a kick-ass new Midnight Express
what a great
influence theme song, which was just stuck in my head. And yeah, I mean, it's possible. I do kind of wonder if there's not much of a formality there. Now, maybe their allegiance will be tested and tried if Andrade ever comes up against MJF. I kind of feel like Andrade could be considered, I know he's supposed to be a bad guy, but like, he's so damn charming. I kind of find it hard to see him as like either or. He's just a badass. So it could be interesting to use FTR to help fuel a rivalry between those two if they ever get to that. I don't know. It could be a lot of fun, but I just feel like FTR, they just take that money and do whatever.
Entirely possible.
Yeah.
They could also
I'm more looking forward to seeing. I just want to see FTR. When's that show? December 5th. The AAA show. I just want to see FTR hold on to those titles. I want to see them down there in Mexico, man.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Arena, Mexico.
That'd be great. Another kind of thing that happened that piqued my interest, and I don't necessarily feel like was paid off entirely, was early on. Malakai Black had a promo and pretty much teased someone close to Cody betraying him, referencing Julius Caesar, naming Brutus by first name, saying that he wasn't the only one to stab Caesar in the back. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to have a swerve here in that match. And it didn't really happen. You know, we had FTR come out and hit Cody with the AAA tag titles during his suicide dive. Maybe my expectations were raised too high. We had that face-off between Tully and Arn. I'm like, yes, Arn, turn on Cody. Join up with Tully and FTR. That'd be great. And then, you know, the Lucha Brothers came out, so we never got resolution on that. I don't know. Just feel like maybe it's down the line it'll happen. It's entirely possible. But
yeah, they got to do something with that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're totally right. What's the match for Cody at Full Gear? Is it going to be Malakai Black again? Because like Malakai, it seemed like he was sort of pulling the strings like, hey, I don't have to be there, Tony, but I can play Puppet Master, and there's a dude who's going to come. Because, yeah, it should be Arn. I mean, Brutus was I think, Caesar's side dude as general.
Yeah.
So, like, it would kind of make sense, you know. He had his own Waffle House menu maybe before he attacked
So
Caesar.
I think, was it last week, I was saying that it'd be Cody and Pac versus Malakai and Andrade at Full Gear. Last week, a couple people in chat mentioned that too.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You'd think they would have had that match maybe tonight and they'd had Andrade and Cody at the pay-per-view, but
that's what I figured.
Unless they want that turn of Arn, assuming it's Arn, to be a dramatic moment, maybe it makes sense to have all the players there ringside.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it'd be because Arn would be a much bigger moment if Arn turns on Cody. You know, maybe he sees Andrade and is like, this is what you need to be, and this is what you're not. So, I'm going to go hang out with my 4 Horsemen guy who's aligned with Andrade. So we're all going to do a thing. So yeah, I don't know. We're gonna find out. But interesting to see where that lands. It is interesting if they're going to do a tag match, which seems, I don't know, like AEW is known for tag teams. Just a straight up thrown together tag match seems a tad underwhelming, but especially because it's not like Cody and Pac are really.
Yeah, I know.
They're not really aligned all that much.
No, they're not. But if the point of the tag match is really pushing story, I could be cool with the put together tag match if there's a massive story beat coming. So
yeah, that could be. Anyways, let's get into this. It opened up with Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels. Of course, much ado was made last year when it was
18 months ago.
Earlier than that.
It was 18 months
right.
ago.
Yeah, when Alan Angels kicked out of a V trigger.
Yeah,
and
it was competitive
kicked out of
yeah.
It was a competitive bout, and now it's 18 months on. Alan Angels is in a little bit of a better spot than he was before. Certainly more well known. Part of the Dark Order, joined the Dark Order, and this time it took 3 of them.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega laid him out with 1. They had a really lazy pin, and Alan Angels kicked out of that, and then Kenny just completely annihilated him with 3 more. He didn't kick out of that.
No.
So afterwards, Kenny gets on the mic. And he says, basically he says, I'm paraphrasing, he says, I gave you your career, but I giveth and I taketh away. Nakazawa, get me the chair. And he puts the chair down and he gets Alan Angels up for a one-winged angel on the chair. And then Hangman Page comes out. Hangman's about to try to take a swing. Kenny's about to take a swing at Hangman. Angels takes a chair out of his hands, and Kenny barely dodges a buckshot and leaves the title in the ring. Hangman looks down, gets the title, says, hey, Kenny, I think you forgot something. I'm just going to lay it over here. He says, hold on to that tight, though. You got 10 days. Cowboy shit.
Yep. After that, we had a Malakai Black promo, and he says, why do men of power think that their decisions serve more than their own interests? He says, Tony's decision to bar me from ringside won't change the outcome of this match. And then he talks about the assassination of Julius Caesar, and he says it wasn't just Marcus that betrayed him.
Oh, what's up? Marty the Moth is in our Twitch
hello.
chat. What's up? Welcome to the show. Take a seat. Let's see here. That was the Malakai Black thing. And then we had CM Punk comes down. He returns to Dynamite. And he sits down and he says, sorry, guys, but it's not really in a great mood tonight. He says, there's 2 people who aren't here tonight. One has a really good reason, and that's Mox. He really puts over Mox and what he's going through right now. He says, I want to hear his name be chanted. So the crowd, of course, obliges. They chant Mox. He says, I have some history with him. We're not the best of friends, but last night I got a call, told about what was happening. And, I know what it's like to try to please everybody and basically burn yourself out. Again, I'm paraphrasing. He says, eventually take yourself off the hamster wheel. He says, I did the same thing. I was criticized for it. I don't want to hear anybody criticize Mox for this. So if anybody at home or here is listening, if you're in a place where you think you need help, reach out, text somebody, let somebody know. He says, that brings me to the second guy that's not here tonight, Eddie Kingston. He says, you're not here tonight, so I can't ask you to your face, so I have to do it this way. So I don't know what kind of fabricated story you have in your head, some beef we have, but I can't fight you because you're not here. Crowd starts chanting full gear. He says, yeah, that's an option. He says, I'll be here in St. Louis to accept your apology. He says, I'll be there in St. Louis to accept your apology for interrupting me. And he says, I'm going to leave with this. Because Mox isn't here, there was a spot open in the Eliminator tournament. Before I was going to clear things up with Kingston, that was a possibility. But now you don't get me versus Orange Cassidy and possibly me versus Bryan Danielson. And he blames out on Eddie Kingston. So
Yeah. And he just says, I'll see you in St. Louis, Eddie. After that, we had a Miro promo. I tried to transcribe best I could, but I'm so captivated by Miro, it's hard to do anything but just to stare and screen at all. So he says, my God, I cursed you, I threatened you, waited patiently, no word comes, and then I'm in the title race all of a sudden. Is this you trying to help me or toy with me? He says, in this tournament, it is God that needs to prove himself to me, like I need to prove myself to her. He says, I will be forgiven, I will be loved. Then you will be forgiven.
He needs to get it first, man. What is it? BlueChew.com, promo code GIR. Maybe that's the problem. He's blaming that now on God.
Maybe.
She won't toy with it, God. After that, we had a Superkliq interview. This was one of those things where it was just like almost endless. And I get the point of it. The point was Christian gave a concerto to Adam Cole. That's setting up their match for Full Gear because that's a big deal. But it was just long.
It was long.
So their interview is pretty funny, though. Like, Adam Cole does his awesome promo thing, and then Nick Jackson's just, we're a bunch of badasses.
We're dangerous, tough guys.
We're dangerous, tough guys. Then Christian just sort of moseys into the frame, and he's like, and they're like, hey, man, get out of here. What are you doing, you nerd? And then they're like, there's a bunch of us, and there's only one of you. Camera wides out, and you got Luchasaurus there, who's like, 3 men in one. So they start to act like they're going to slink away, and then Matt takes a swing on Luchasaurus, and this whole huge brawl breaks out. The Bucks sort of get the advantage at a certain point with a low blow on Luchasaurus, maybe?
Yes.
Christian? I don't know who it is.
Yes.
Jungle Boy comes sprinting.
That was great.
Just sprinting and just launches himself onto everybody. Christian has a really weak spear on Matt on the stage. He tries an unprettier on him, and instead he eats a super kick from Nick. Luchasaurus takes them out, choke slams Nick onto Adam Cole, which looked rough.
Yeah, that looked like
Jungle Boy then put the snare trap on Cole, who passes out. Christian then brings some chairs out and just takes this to a whole nother level. He's supposed to be the good guy here, delivering a concerto to Adam Cole. I'm going to be cheering so hard when Adam Cole, baby.
Well, you would regardless if he gave him a concerto or not.
You got that right, man.
Adam Cole is your favorite wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely. He's my best friend.
Well, he's a favorite wrestler. So after that, we had a Ruby Soho, Kris Statlander video package to hype up their TBS Championship Tournament match. This was good stuff. They always do such a good job with these video packages.
Oh, these are great. These are awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
They're great.
J-Mart here in the chat says Matt had the Quarter Snacks Nike SB Dunk Lows.
Oh.
Nick had the Black Gundam SB Dunk Highs.
There we go.
Thank you, our official shoe aficionado, J-Mart, for informing us. We're going to expect this every Rampage and every Dynamite now from you, sir.
I know. The expectations have been set, J-Mart. Then we had Aerostar and Samurai Del Sol, formerly known as Kalisto in WWE, teaming up to challenge FTR for the AAA Tag Team titles. FTR got some new retro-style music. It was great.
Oh, man. This was great. So it's basically homage to the Midnight Express's theme song, which was an homage to the music from Midnight Express, which was Giorgio.
Yes.
The movie, which was done by disco legend Giorgio Moroder. Mm-hmm. I totally probably didn't say that name with the correct amount of flair. But it was stuck in my head. They need to keep this.
I hope so.
Enough of that,
stuff. Yeah,
homage to their WWE theme.
No, keep this one.
This was the money right here, and I love that they have the knee pads. One was American flag, one was Mexican flag, because they're the AAA tag champions.
Yeah.
I thought this is great. This is a fun match. A couple spots where it look like there was some miscommunication, but this is a lot of fun. You get Aerostar and Samurai Del Sol and FTR in a ring together. Man, I could watch that all day long.
Fun stuff happens, yeah. And while Aerostar didn't fall off something super duper high, is crazy that is. We need to see that all the time because it's super dangerous. He still did a lot of crazy stuff. That reverse diving headbutt off the top, I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, dude, I know. Yeah, God.
That was crazy.
Yeah, half the stuff when they get in there, I'm like, what? I love that. That's why I love watching whenever we watch AAA. Like, it's not often, but man, there's always shit that I'm like watch any Vikingo match, El Hijo del Vikingo match.
Yeah.
You will see so much shit you've never seen before. It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah. Aerostar's great. So down.
They didn't have him fall from anything really high up in the air.
Yeah, no, they didn't. That didn't happen.
But you can't have everything, I guess.
No, but maybe that's probably best just to do it, once or twice a year. Anyways.
True. That's what that.
So down towards the finish, Aerostar takes Dax out of the ring. The Samurai Del Sol hits his finish on Cash. I don't know what he calls it now, so I don't want to call it by the WWE name. So anyways, Aerostar falls with a splash off the second rope. Dax breaks up the cover there. Dax sidesteps a suicide dive from Samurai Del Sol, hits him with a brainbuster on the floor. Ow. So then Aerostar hits a victory roll on Cash. Cash reverses that into a roll-up of his own and grabs onto the ropes to get the win.
And the trunks, everything. He got his hands on everything there. After that, we had a Hikaru Shida interview where Tony was giving her the trophy for the 50 wins. They glued that thing back together. Nyla Rose interrupted, talked a lot of shit. Said this is going to be it's going to be an easy night for us. When is that match? Is it going to be on Rampage or next week's Dynamite?
I feel like it's going to be on Rampage.
Man, I think Shida's coming out of that, man, because they made the obvious thing of hope your legs feeling okay. I'm like, oh, Shida's going to win that then, huh?
Could be.
Because I think that's going to lead to isn't she going up against the winner of Ruby Statlander? Mm-hmm. That's going to be a face versus face thing. No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Could be. Who knows?
That's going to be whoever comes out of that's probably going to be Ruby. If it's Ruby versus Shida, holy crap,
that could be great.
That's going to be a good match.
That could be great. After that, we had the Inner Circle come to the ring. Jericho talks about how Sammy won last week against Ethan Page, so they get their 10-man tag match street fight, and they get to choose which members America Top Team they get to face. This, of course, brings out America Top Team. Lambert talks trash about the city they're in, wants Jericho to get it over with. Jericho talks some trash about America Top Team, calls them an ugly collection of dumb idiots. Lambert tells Jericho to put his respect on his name. He said I made America Top Team the top team in this business, which makes me team member number one. As soon as he said that, I was already like 95% sure that Lambert was going to be this match. As soon as he said that, it went up to 100%.
Yeah.
He says, I got an open contract here signed by everybody America Top Team. And he hands it to Aubrey Edwards, who takes it down the ring, gives it to Jericho. He starts looking it over. And while Jericho's looking it over with Inner Circle, Lambert's hyping up Men of the Year, talking about each member of the MMA team members of America Top Team. And he says, all right, now it's time to pick your poison. And Jericho says, you have an open contract, so they can pick any member of America Top Team they want. So Hager, he wants Junior Dos Santos. He talks some trash to him. Santana's next. He wants Arlovsky. He talks some trash. And Lambert says, well, before you make your final pick, he tells Jericho that Paige Van Zant's husband wants to be in the match. And he's about to talk. Paige takes the mic from him and says, I don't need him talking for me. Essentially, she says, you better put me in the match. My calendar is clear. I could take on all 5 of you by myself. And then Jericho, makes some jokes about that. And
I was just going to I was going to say, what's Larson going to say about this?
Yeah. Or tries to make some jokes about that, referencing her OnlyFans. He says, but they're choosing the guy who said that he's the number one member of America Top Team. They're choosing Dan Lambert. Of course, he goes crazy. He's upset. Says, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Totally eating the pin.
Zondo says here in chat, kind of glad it didn't get as crass as it could have been. I was fully expecting it to be, and that's it. It's better when you just sort of let it sit there, Like Jericho actually was a bit, I know I'm referencing OnlyFans, but like he could have gotten a lot. He just sort of repeated what she said and was like, oh, okay, well, because it was such a softball there.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing that is it's just a lot funnier when you just sort of are more clever than being blunt about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, Lambert's totally eating the pin. That match actually might be kind of fun. Like for all this brutality that we've had to sit through with all these segments, the match itself, Dan Lambert Lambert did a lot of good stuff in Impact when I was watching. Mm-hmm. And he is a big pro wrestling fan.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do
Road Warriors tonight.
He did, yeah. I thought that's why I thought like his stuff was stronger tonight. It wasn't as long, it wasn't as laborious, and I totally get your point about but like up until this point, it's been so brutal. You cannot give it the benefit of the doubt, and you don't want to sit there through it again. I just thought tonight it was that they were a lot more effective with their time.
They were
efficient with their time.
And also they had a very obvious objective they had to get to in this segment. And for a lot of this, it's just go out and get heat, which is, it's a goal, but it's a lot more nebulous than a very specific objective they had to achieve with this particular bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And these segments have been so laborious for so long. It's a real uphill battle for me to get invested. Yeah. Like this would have to be like segment of the year for me to sit here and be like, yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. After that, we had an interview with, God, there's so many talking parts here. We had an interview with Matt Sydal and Dante Martin, and LBO Leo was there, and Lee Moriarty was there. And so Sydal was like, hey, Dante, you did great. All the stuff we went through training came to fruition in your victory against me. Congratulations, you're the man. He says, you know, I know that you're training with LBO Leo now. He's teaching you about the financial industry and wrestling, but I've got any number of people who are interested in continuing to train with me, including Lee Moriarty. And as a friendly challenge, I'd like to ask you and Leo to be in a match with us. And then Leo says, oh, yes, I'll do that. Challenge accepted. Everybody seems really friendly here.
Yeah, no, so, it does seem largely pretty friendly here.
This is, by the way, is it gonna happen on Rampage? Do we know, or is it on Dynamite next week? This is gonna be a killer match.
It is gonna be great. The one time I don't write the card for Rampage this week, you ask me all
I'm
these
sorry,
questions.
I'm taking you for granted, my friend.
How dare you? After that, we had Jamie Hayter versus Anna Jay, first round bout for the TBS Championship tournament. This was a solid bout. Towards the end, Anna's looking for a Queen Slayer. Jamie flings her off her back. She's looking for a clothesline. Anna ducks it, locks on the Queen Slayer again. Rebel gets on the apron, distracts the ref. On the other side, Jamie pushes or backs up, so she's near the ropes, so that Britt could trip up or grab Anna's ankle. So she breaks the hold. And then Jamie hits Anna with a huge clothesline to get the win. Afterwards, Jamie and Rebel are attacking Anna Jay. Ty Conti runs down to make the save. She hits some ground and pound on Britt. Eventually, she's overwhelmed by Rebel and Jamie. And then Britt's about to hit a stomp on the belt when Thunder Rosa runs down to make the save.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the match there. The Thunder Rosa
versus Jamie Hayter, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Then we get a Jade Cargill promo. And the essence of this is, she says it doesn't really matter who gets to me. They're going to lose. I'm going to win that title, and I'm going to rename the title the That Bitch Show title. You like the ring of that? Doesn't really roll off the tongue all that great.
She can still call it the TBS title because it works.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But instead of Turner Broadcasting System, it would be That Bitch Show. Yeah.
Isn't it weird that they haven't renamed the actual channel TBS? Turner Broadcasting System.
Branding, man. Branding.
I guess.
People know what TBS means. It means very funny.
It means, very funny. Anyways, after that, MJF comes out to talk, and he talks a lot.
And he does that for a while.
Boy, he does that a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the gist of this, I have it all written down here. I can prove it. He says, let's be real, Darby. When all the new faces showed up here in AEW, we didn't sweat it because we're pillars. They need us. The fans know who we are.
Hold on. The gist is they're the two best pillars, but he's the best pillar. That's the gist.
Yes, and the whole time Darby is sitting up the crowd. Really good, man. Look at you with the cliff notes. Good job. He says, I honestly thought there was going to be like a stipulation to this match, which would allow MJF to pick up the actual win, but not break Darby mentally. But by the end of this, they just said, yeah, we're going to have a wrestling match. Because he said, even if you kick off this match rushing at me like a hyena or something, I'm just going to, I'm so much better than you. I could beat you with a headlock takeover.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a better wrestler than you. And Darby gets on the Max, says, Max, I'm an outcast. And everything else you called me. I'm just going to do Tommy Wiseau for Darby Allin there.
All right, very well.
He said, full gear, I'm not going to attack you with my skateboard, Max. We'll have a wrestling match. He says, because I'm going to let my anger out right now tonight. MJF says, no, and tries to leave up the ramp. And then Sting heads him off with a bunch of dudes with MJF masks on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pinnacle happens, Wardlow and Sean Spears. A big brawl breaks out between Sting, Wardlow, Sean Spears, all those jobber dudes. And then Darby and Max start brawling out in the crowd. Then they do the spot where he sort of lines up MJF near the barricade on the crowd side. He goes back a good 20 yards, maybe 30 yards, and just sprints at the dude and just annihilates him going over the barricade. I thought somebody was getting really hurt there, but they didn't. They were fine.
Yeah.
He gets MJF in the ring, goes up for a coffin drop. MJF's able to get out of there before Darby goes up, is able to drop him with a coffin drop. And then they just sort of stare at each other from either sides of the barricade.
Correct. After that, we got Andrade versus Cody Rhodes. This is a really fun bout. Some good back and forth. We saw Andrade do a split leg moonsault. I don't remember him doing that in WWE at all. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like the sort of the shout outs to their respective fathers ish. Cody did the whole Dusty thing with the elbow thing. I'm sure that has a name, but I'm a dummy. And then Andrade gave a shout out to Ric Flair before he locked in the figure 4. He gave out a woo woo, and then of course Cody reversed the pressure, shooting that pressure back down to the legs of Andrade.
Very
of course,
painful.
He was able to escape that. Cody goes for a suicide dive. FTR's there, hit them in the head with the tag titles, and then Andrade rolls him back in, hits hammerlock DDT for the win.
Yeah.
And then as they're all celebrating, Cody wakes up. FTR and Andrade beat his ass. Arn gets in there, pushes Tully. Tully takes off his jacket, about to throw hands. And then Lucha Bros come down, and then everybody just sort of take it to FTR. And that's how that ends.
Yep. After that, we get a John Silver interview. And he just takes a bunch of jokes from being the Elite and brings them to Dynamite. But that's fine, right, because they were good. So he says, Budge. He says it's not going to be Cole versus Silver this Friday on Rampage. It's going to be Silver versus Budge. And he says, since Adam Cole has come to AEW, I've been giving him some pointers. Like maybe cut your hair. Maybe change your name to Budge. Maybe become the Dark Order's manager. Of course, these are all references to the rumors and reports about WWE's pitches for Adam Cole on the main roster.
Rumors.
Says,
what is it? Did you watch any of the? I have been waiting to watch that Being the Elite stuff for whatever reason. I forget about it.
Yeah,
I hear it's hilarious.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Do you know the etymology of the Budge?
No, I do not know the origins of it. No.
Maybe somebody here in chat can
fill us in. Yes.
So
Silver says Cole hasn't taken my advice. That makes me mad. Johnny Hungy, so on and so forth. Then we had a Bunny Red Velvet video package hyping up their match at TBS tournament. Again, these are great. Well put together.
These are really
They find
good,
stories for the competitors, so they go into the match with an actual story, just like ready to go. There's a story to be told there. It's good.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
And then we had our main event: Orange Cassidy versus Miro semifinals for the Eliminator tournament. Bryan Danielson comes out and joins commentary for the bout. Matt Hardy is sitting ringside. Of course, he has beef with Orange Cassidy, but his presence didn't really play into the match, other than Orange Cassidy giving Matt Hardy a thumbs up after he puts Miro through the timekeeper table. Mm-hmm. That's about it. So that spot happened. That was pretty great. Miro barely beats the 10 count to get back in the ring. Cassidy's going for an orange punch. Miro ducks that. Cassidy hits beach break. This is after, I believe, that Miro had already eaten a DDT earlier in the match, really selling the neck. That gets him a 2. Orange goes for another orange punch. Miro dodges that, hits the Machka kick, locks on, game over. Orange pretty much taps immediately. Danielson leaves commentary, walks to the ring, has a bit of a stare down with Miro, offers his hand, and Miro's leaving the ring as the show goes off the air.
He said no. So people are just saying Budge was just something that Silver came up with on the spot when he was pitching new names, and it made everybody laugh. So, Muted Mayday here brings this up about Tony Schiavone, and then this even caused Enforcer to text us both.
I know.
He says, I got another TBS for you, the big shithead about MJF when he came out.
That was great.
That was really funny.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. I have a thread here on the Patreon. By the way, if you like Going in Raw and you want to hear it ad-free in the audio realm, that is, you can do that along with our bonus episodes. You can get those all ad-free at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. $5 a month. If you don't want to pay the $5, you just want to pay $3, save an extra $2, and you don't care about the bonus content, you can get the show ad-free at goinginraw.supercast.tech. Give a quick shout out here to Salvador Gutierrez, Vlasios Michaelopoulos, Lance Hansford, Cesar Areza, and Roma BPM, new patrons.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Going in Raw. It really goes a long way towards helping to support Going in Raw. We really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and dive into these questions. David Matushek.
Sure.
Oh, man. Dude, the list is endless. He says, what other AAA luchadors do you think FTR should face in the future?
Of course, Pagano and Chessman.
Of course.
The ultimate can they coexist story.
That is the ultimate can they coexist. They main evented one of the most brutal Triple Mania matches 2 years ago.
Next year, they were in a tag team. And no, the answer to that question this year, they cannot coexist.
They cannot coexist. So that's who we want to see. That's good. Who would it, Vikingo and who's the match coming up in December? Isn't it Vikingo and Laredo Kid?
No, Vikingo was challenging Kenny for the Mega Championship.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Who challenged? Gosh, who challenged? It was Dragon Lee and
Dralistico.
Yeah, that's who it was.
That's right. Yeah, let's get them in there with FTR. Thomas Dunnigan. Paige didn't quite rate Chessman pick up. Oh, man. I love AAA.
Oh,
God, if we could turn this podcast into Going in AAA, I would. Thomas Dunnigan says, Paige didn't quite raise up the AEW World title, only held it. So is Paige still safe to win the match at Full Gear? Yeah, because he's going to get his ass kicked next week.
He's going to get destroyed next week.
Dynamite, he's going to get murdered.
Yeah. He's going to get beat down something awful. Dangam Q says, I hope AEW doesn't do the whole one faction has a woman, the other one doesn't, making the faction without a woman like Dullards between Inner Circle and America Top Team as NXT 1.0 did with Hit Row versus Legado.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be. I never really thought that Legado came off as like.
No, I don't think they came off as Dullards either.
They were just like, oh man, we got to even the odds here. I don't know. Paige might go through a table or something though. AEW's a bit looser with that kind of stuff.
You know what? I know they're making this a street fight, maybe to kind of seem like it evens the odds, so it wouldn't be completely obvious that every one of those professional wrestlers would get totally destroyed by the fighters. I feel like it makes it worse, though.
You know, I don't disagree with that. It's to make it goofier and less professional wrestling. You're right, but it's funny because like you've made that point so often, and I've sort of laughed it off because I'm like, well, it's a different universe of professional wrestling. But like when Dan Lambert was listing off the legitimate and awesome accomplishments of his guys, and of course Paige, it is very impressive, and it's like, God, they would just annihilate these guys.
They would wipe the floor with every member of Inner Circle.
And so much respect to Lambert and America Top Team. You know, Jake Hager said something, I think it was to
Junior Dos Santos.
Junior Dos Santos, about like, we're going to beat you quicker than your last match, which was 71 seconds. And he made a lot of clowning jokes about that. Nobody ever said about anything about the level of opponent they've thrown at Hager over in Bellator. You look at some of these guys like he's in there with Steven Larson, you know? It's like, and they didn't talk shit about that. They're keeping him looking strong because they could easily say, you couldn't carry our water, man.
I know. Very easily. Although didn't Lambert made reference to Hager's time in Bellator because he said two of his guys were in Bellator.
He said no, he put him over. He says it's impressive that you're undefeated in Bellator, but this guy over here, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So he was putting over Hager. You know. So let's see here. Anyways, Oliver Trottier. Or Trottier asks, who's your favorite member of the Dark Order? It's Silver.
Yeah.
It's Silver. That dude is absolutely hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. And like just in the ring, God, he's so much fun.
Gosh, he's really good. Yeah, he's amazing.
Oh, Muted Mayday says, I ain't afraid no budge was the name of the Ghostbusters knockoff song. That's funny. I ain't afraid of no budge.
Dan Daniels says, any wrestling tropes that you're not tired of just yet, but you're starting to get there?
Oh man, I'm sure that
Tired, can they coexist? Tired of championship contender matches.
Oh God, yeah, I can't stand those.
I feel like if I mentioned it on the show, I feel like if we mention a trope on the show, it's probably because we're tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we're not tired of it, we just kind of let it go, you know?
Yeah. God, I don't know. Maybe some people in chat have some ideas. Like Michael Soto says, roll-ups. I don't know. There does seem to be.
I'm tired of the trope of roll-up being seen as less of a victory than hitting finisher and winning that way. Because they do roll up and then it's like, oh, well, you didn't beat me, so we're going to do another match, you know? That I'm kind of tired of.
I don't like people getting distracted by music. That one trope that I hate in wrestling is people getting distracted.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to keep your eyes on the prize, man.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve a chance. I'm fine with those. That's a good question. Maybe chat can load us up with a couple more. Yeah, Zondo here. Well, no, but these are all the ones that I'm kind of tired. Like Zondo says, fight spilling from backstage to the arena. I'm kind of over brawls. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of one that I'm still cool with.
Yeah.
People not kidding. Yeah, dives. Suicide. I'm not huge on suicide dives because I don't really want people to. I don't like seeing people possibly get hurt. But I don't mind them in general. Like, I don't know. I like suicide dives.
Yeah.
As long as they're like, you know, as long as they're safe.
Yeah. Dang Q says, this was asked yesterday at the NXT 2.0 watch along, but Larson, which wrestler do you not get that most people love?
This is a good question, yeah. Enforcer's answer, and I was kind of with this, was Jurassic Express. Like, I get why people like them. They're like the Scooby-Doo crew, but I'm not really huge into them. They don't do much for me.
Oh, I had a really good answer. Oh, there's two, and they're both in NXT. It's not that I don't get them. I guess I just don't appreciate them as much as other people. One is Cameron Grimes. I got no beef with Cameron Grimes. I like Cameron Grimes a lot.
Sure,
I thought he was doing great work when he was still in TNA. Show up as PWG as TNA superstar Trevor Lee. Thought that was great.
Yeah.
This over the top comedic Cameron Grimes. It's not bad. It just doesn't really do it for me.
Dude, the Church of Trevor Lee was a better gimmick than Cameron Grimes. Yeah. I actually agree with you on that one. Yeah, I like Cameron Grimes, but he's one dimensional. He wasn't before. I agree with you. Yeah.
The other is Tony D'Angelo. It's fine until he's invested in his character. Just doesn't really do it for me.
Tony reminds me of an old friend of ours.
Okay.
Who's involved in wrestling to a degree, tangentially.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Tony. I thought I was gonna hate him, and I was like, "This is terrible," but that shit last night on Lash Legend was pretty damn funny. It was pretty funny. Yellow Flash. Who should Sammy feud with for the TNT title? Miro needs to destroy him.
Yeah,
get it back. Miro just needs to annihilate him and get it back.
Yep. Totally, 1000%.
Cesar asks, what do you think the trio's title in AEW is going to look like? Warner Media title. It's going to have HBO Max.
Yeah,
it's going to have the HBO Max logo.
The Bleacher Report logo. And then the AOL logo.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Is AOL still? I think that's still my dad's email address.
No idea.
I think it's still my dad's email address, an AOL one. Let's see here. Okay. Vince McMahon's intern, Tyrone Tyrannic Hamilton, says, "Hey guys, I haven't watched Dynamite yet, but this is my first time back as a patron since 2017. Well, welcome back, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He says, it wasn't you, it was WWE. But I've come back to both companies for two things. WWE for heel Roman, as I was a huge fan of his in my teenage years. And of course, I got into AEW because of Punk. Just wondering who or what cured your wrestling hiatuses. It was the pipe bomb for me. It was CM Punk." What?
Go ahead. My answer is ridiculous. It should have put me off wrestling forever, but it didn't.
I think for me, it was the pipe bomb that really got me back into it. CM Punk.
It was WrestleMania 27.
Oh, wow.
I was kind of like, I wasn't really watching it much, a little bit here or there, but I was keeping up with the news and stuff for the most part. And then I think I went over to your house or something and watched WrestleMania 27. I'm like, this isn't good, but I'll just keep watching it.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling's one of those things where it's like pizza. It doesn't have to be good for you to like be into it, you know? Anyways, we'll answer some more of these questions for our Twitch viewers, but that's going to do it for the podcast today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you so much, yes.
Join us tomorrow. It's Thursday tomorrow for our NXT UK watch-along at noon.
No,
tomorrow it's at 1 tomorrow. That's right. Ooh, we could sleep in. Well, we don't because we got kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so join us for that. And then tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got The Numbers Don't Lie. Dusty is tomorrow. Wow. And then tomorrow night, the Smash Zone is back.
Busy streaming day for us.
Busy streaming day on Thursdays, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.